barrel room. And then upstairs in the barrel room, see our cool ship and talk about spontaneous fermentation. For beer nerds like myself, I think the word has traveled well through, doing like off-site festivals and collaborations and, posting stuff on beer forums and that sort. How our local following has developed is still kind of a little bit more of a mystery to me because we don't really do any formal advertising, so I assume it's just really kind of word of mouth. And then the other thing is Austin has really kind of grown out to meet us. Like when my brother and I, we're 18 miles, as the crow flies from the state capitol, and we were thinking this is a beautiful piece of land, and we absolutely want to do farmhouse ales here, but this is kind of a lot farther from Austin than we thought we'd be. But 10 years later, it's like, yeah, the city is on our doorstep. Last year was 116,000 people came through over the course of the year. So, yeah, my background is home brewing. Bought my first kit in 2007 and just fell in love with the hobby and found I was just doing it night and day and decided that I wanted to open a brewery. I was inspired by a lot of the farmhouse ales from Western Europe as well as the Belgian lambic tradition. So I wanted to pursue wild mixed culture fermentation as well as spontaneous fermentation in Texas, and had some doubts of whether that would even work, but was kind of pleasantly surprised that our mixed culture fermentation experience worked out. So started doing that in 2010. That's after my brother and I were able to go through the process of fundraising and opening a brewery, and so we found an old machine shop in southern Texas, took it apart, reassembled it here. I got a 30-barrel system and just simple two-vessel system and started brewing. Started putting some beer to oak for long-term maturation, and then started doing some kind of like little hoppy table beers and hoppy farmhouse ales, just real sessionable. We produce about 2,000 barrels a year. We brew like twice a week on a 30-barrel system. About half goes to oak and about half stainless steel. As far as what's next in our plans for us, we expanded in 2018, so really just kind of continuing to get a better grasp on what we, fairly recently started doing food out here at the brewery. We have a bread program as well. Our kitchen primarily produces pizza, but we also have some wood-fired dishes to accompany that. We've started doing private events. We have like a little space for like weddings, rehearsal dinners, get-togethers, stuff like that. And then we planted a small farm, about 4 acres that we fenced in to keep the deer away. And we've planted grapes, fruit trees, hops, and we also have goats as well, and they're used for rotational grazing and fertilization, so we're not commercially producing any goat's milk or cheese or anything like that. But, in another couple of years, we could end up doing cheese as well. So Jester King, when I was a home brewer, was actually one of my home brewer buddies suggested it to me. He never asked for royalties or anything, but he was an English major and suggested that in King Lear, there's this reference to the wise fool, or AKA the Jester King, who kind of speak truth to power and still kind of live to tell about it. And I thought, in 2010, doing some beers that are very uncommon to at least Texas, I thought, it was kind of an apt analogy for what we're doing, kind of bringing in some kind of funky weirdness to, an environment that very much is kind of controlled by the self-proclaimed king of beers. We all knew who that is. And so I just kind of felt fit as to be a little bit of a, pushback or kind of opposite tide to, the power in our state.